Oh,
Welcome everyone. I think we're live. James, our producer, can maybe quickly confirm in the chat if we're live. But anyway, welcome everyone to the first ever live podcast or livecast, whatever you would like to call it. My name is Roger, and I am here with my two co-hosts today with Simon and Steven. So welcome, chaps. Welcome to the stream.
Hi, Adrian. How are you? All right.
Well, I am all right. Yeah, all good. Just about recovered from the SBC Awards last week. It was great. But yeah. Anyway, how are you? How are you guys doing?
Yeah, all good. My end, all good.
yeah. I'm great. Germany, close to Christmas holidays. Just one last live cast. Can't be better.
Very nice, very nice. I mean, we came here together to, first of all, to speak about this. I would say very weird and at the same time exciting, new. In some cases, obviously sad year. Lots of a hell of a lot of things happened in the past 12 months. I think we had everything. We had from A to Z. Starting the year off literally with an A with Australia, with obviously what was happening there, with everything was I guess set on fire, it seemed, and then went into from I guess after ice. We just kind of went into sitting at home like we are right now. We're obviously not in the studio. It's obviously a little bit difficult for everyone. But how was the year for you guys? To start it off, maybe start with you, Steven.
Yeah, no, it's been difficult. Obviously, we try not to mention that C word and focus on Christmas. But it's as we all sit in our bedrooms or offices or whatever at home, it's been a difficult year for a lot of people. I think that us being on here, count myself lucky really. I've got a job and people around me are healthy, which is always a plus. I mean, it's been a professionally, tough year, but sort of certainly us over at William Hill have adapted and just become the new way of working really. And I think that going forward, the positive, what you can take positive out of such a terrible situation is that it's probably adapted the way we work going forward, and that will enable us to be a bit more dynamic and certainly sort of potentially attract more talent and stuff like that. So trying to cling on to the positives. But yeah, no, it's definitely been a tough period for everyone.
Simon, what about you and the west side of Germany, on the west side?
Yeah, it's totally strange, and I agree totally to Steven. The industry is so busy right now, but being at home all day and only doing the business from home office feels really, really strange. According to sitting only here, having my drinks alone, it's feeling really, really sad, because in the industry, always missing you guys standing at the bar, talking rubbish and having a lot of beer. So I miss you guys really much. Touching you a little bit, right? You're getting to know other people.
More and more as the night goes on,
But I mean, as you say, I mean, I've missed going to Malta, man. Like it's like literally like usually I would be there about, I don't know, 6-7 times a year. I mean, obviously for you, Steven, I guess it's even more than that because you've got a team in Malta, then it's just missing the sunshine and this feel of like just this nice warm breeze that you have when you sat on your balcony in an hotel and just basically enjoying life. So I think I mean, seriously, I mean, I miss Malta a lot.
Me too.
No, same. Yeah, same. I miss it's the people there as well. We've got some great people in our industry that living in Malta. I've got a lot of friends out there. A lot of friends that whenever we're out there working, grab dinner and a few beers, and it stopped all of that side as well. So fingers crossed, going into next year, and certainly to the back end of next year, we can all be there having a beer on one of them nice rooftop terrace. You always promised me we're going to do a podcast on one of them rooftop terrace, Roger. I'm going to hold you to that, mate. I'm going to hold you to that.
I swear down, and you know, our let's say before we go on, just a quick explanation. We've got you know, James in the background, who's the brain of this livecast today. So if I'm, you know, shouting James, please, to everyone, don't worry, I'm not going crazy. It's just it's just that we're trying to make a show out of it. But yeah, we actually look, I actually spoke to James because he obviously, you know, produces you know, our podcast anyway that we do outside of this as well. Cheers, guys. But you know, we actually planned for you know, for him and his colleague to come out there and to record some podcasts, you know, in a nice setting, because I think you know, somehow we always when we talk about, you know, gambling, you know, betting, we somehow associate Malta with it. You know, it's the first thing that you think of, you know, and I think it would have been great, you know, as you say, because there's so many great people out of our industry there. I think it's an absolute must. But you know, I promise, if you know, if all things go well and the vaccinations etc. work, then we'll definitely do a series of podcasts in Malta, and you know, we'll be catching people there. So that's my, you know, that's my promise to you, Stephen, and to all, obviously, the listeners, that we'll do some nice stuff over there.
Nice. I'll hold you to that.
Well, I hope so. Anyway, but I mean, I think you know, before we come to our guests, you know, by the way, to everyone here, we'll have you know, some guests talking. We have some nice, you know, Christmas messages for everyone from all across the industry. Again, from A to Z, which is really cool, which is really nice. So, you know, first of all, thanks very much for helping us with this. Without you, this wouldn't be possible. And just, you know, to talk between us and do a little bit of an intro of what's going to happen. I think you know, this year obviously a lot of happened, but you know, if you would pick up right now, let's say the top 2 or 3 things, you know, the biggest changes that came in, you know, from your perspective, what would they be? Let's start with you, Simon.
So you mean according to the industry, right?
Just anything really, mate, in the industry, whatever it is.
Yeah, so one of the biggest changing is like the corona situation. Like, everything is going nuts and everything is crazy, and everything is new and no one knows what to do, and etc. etc. And the other thing is definitely the new regulation that comes up in Germany, which started in October and is now turning in the middle of next year. So this is quite a big thing for me as well, and I think you feel me, and Stephen even feels me too, that this will cause a lot of trouble, a lot of effort, a lot of work, and a lot of trouble right now, and it will in the next month as well. So those are the 2 main things that really got me in the last month and will get me in the next month.
What about you, Stephen?
Yeah, I think obviously, you know, the coronavirus has been a major point, but I think steering clear of that, I think we'd say, you know, the Gambling Act review has just been announced in the UK, which is going to be a major turning point for the industry, one way or the other, and probably, you know, I think, you know, from a business perspective, and when we talk about William Hill, but probably other operators as well, that when you looked at what happened during the period of the middle of the year with no live sport and stuff, it really did give us as a business a chance to sort of refocus and reshift some of our priorities, probably, and look at, you know, it can become very easy to be reliant on a certain part of your business, and that sometimes can overshadow the rest of it. And I think that certainly having that, you know, really did, certainly from a William Hill perspective, drive some real positive change across the rest of our businesses and our divisions. And obviously, you know, what we're going through at the moment over at Hills with the potential takeover and stuff, that's obviously going to be a major shift, not just for us, but industry wise, and certainly for the US.
Mm-hmm. So I think also what we should mention at this point is just this uncertainty in many countries when it comes to regulations, obviously advertising, player protection, responsible gambling. When you look at Sweden, when you look at Spain, when you look at Germany, then obviously the reviews that happen in the UK, then the stuff that's going on in the US. I think it's just I think it's just obviously a little bit crazy this year, because essentially we're all trying to protect players, be safe, but sometimes it has to obviously work hand in hand, and to get players away from the black market, which is essentially a massive problem when, let's say, players coming from different regions, and with different licenses. But it's I guess it's going to be even more fun next year when we kind of get back a little bit to normality, and and people can be discussing things face to face, because I think my second thing that I would like to say is just the collaboration was very, very tough this year, because Zoom and Teams, whatever you're using, Skype, it's all good and well, but I think a true discussion always is face to face, when you're like interacting, and you can, because it's a little bit awkward, right? You let the person speak, and then halfway through you forgot what you actually wanted to say. So sometimes it's it was very hard, but hey, I think we can only make the best out of it, right? And I think like you said, Stephen, what I think is very important right now is that we all stay positive, and that we all keep the positive mindset going forward, because otherwise it's going to be everyone's going to be very, very sad, and that's not a good thing. So, but to let's say also to mention why we're doing this live stream today. As you can see under me, we're doing this for a charity called Glücksfall. Glücksfall is helping players that have gambling addiction, that are at risk of it, and they're doing a fantastic job. They're working 24/7 really. That's what I wanted to say. And helping people, trying to make sure that everyone is okay, and checking in. And if you donate, so you can see the link now on the screen. It's also in the description below. Even if you donate £1, £2, €5, whatever it is, it will help a lot. It will help Glücksfall to find the resources they need to help people, especially in this time right now where everything's at home, and you don't have this a face-to-face relationship with players anymore as well, in casinos or in shops, etc., where you can intervene at some points. It's very, very important that we support charities like Glücksfall. And we actually have a guest today also from Glücksfall. We've got Melissa here with us. And she'll be appearing now on the screen. So yeah, welcome, Melissa. How are you doing?
Hi. Thanks, guys, for inviting me. I love the sweaters. I don't have a sweater, so I have a Christmas tree instead. So I hope that matches, that works. I'm really well, thank you. How are you guys?
Well, all good this side, and thank you. We certainly made an effort. Nowadays it's really hard to make an effort, for anything. But we thought today, for the audience and obviously for everyone, will be the penguin, the elf, and the reindeer, and we've got you with us. So Melissa, first of all, maybe can you describe what Glücksfall is doing, what you guys are doing, where you are working, and what your mission is. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so thank you. So Glücksfall's mission is really to support players who are at risk of a gambling problem or have a gambling problem, as well as their families who are part of the system. They're part of the people who are being affected by addiction. So we usually work in Germany and Malta. And so we support people based in Germany and people based in Malta through our NGO. And we support through a helpline, which is offered in German, Turkish, English, and Maltese. So we try to, and I'd love to see more languages come in as well, because there's nothing like talking about problems in your own mother tongue, essentially. And we also offer a live chat option. And this is that's what we do to support players and their families. Apart from that, more indirect support is we offer training. So we, as much as possible, try to train professionals, individuals in the gambling industry, who will in turn come in contact with players and their family members, either directly or indirectly. So that's what we try to do as well. So we try to hit the two sides of the problem.
Which is which is very important. I think it's a very, very important I think it's a very important point here, because not only is the message obviously that you have in with the consumer directly or with the people with the end users directly, but also with gambling companies. And in my last podcast, an example with Stephen, we talked a very long time about it, that we can see a very big shift from operators to safer gambling, and it's all at the forefront. I think William Hill, I think yourselves, you had award-winning campaigns for safer gambling, that it's entertainment at the end of the day, and it shouldn't be seen as anything else really. And it's obviously nice to see that you are supporting companies directly. And maybe from in your words as well, how do you think has that whole safer gambling, responsible gambling, conversation shifted in the past 2 years? Because I imagine also for you, you will have seen a huge development within the industry as well.
The fact that, as you're saying, many operators are starting to change the way they looked at safer gambling, responsible gambling. First, it was seen more of a hassle, something that you only do because the regulator imposes it. And now we're shifting towards a more humane operation, essentially, where we notice that there is someone behind the screen who is being affected. And it's like anything else. You don't want an alcoholic at your bar. You don't want a gambling addict in your business either. It's not good for your business, and it's not good for your reputation. Essentially, nowadays, operators are working more on their reputation rather than anything else, because that's the only way to get players to join you and stay. And that's everything. You need player retention more than you need new players coming in. So it's lovely to see that shift. In fact, we have people actually contacting us and asking for advice on certain situations or how they can improve their services, asking for us to analyze their services, essentially, to find gaps, which is not something you saw a few years ago. It's something very new, and it's great that certain jurisdictions are imposing more on RG, but not all. So it's good to see that even those places that the jurisdiction isn't putting a lot of pressure on RG, or not enough pressure on RG, that still the operator is doing what they need to do to safeguard the people who are trusting them with their time, their money, their enjoyment, their sense of entertainment. So that's something I see as very positive, in fact.
And I think it's sort of embedded now in a lot of these companies. I think that it used to be about trying to meet a regulation. When sort of safer gambling and all that come in some years ago, it was always seen as another regulation to meet. Well, actually, I don't agree that's the case anymore. I feel it's embedded in these companies and in the operators, and also in other areas of society where now we can actually say, it's part of our day-to-day process. It's not something we do to tick a box at the end of the day to say that we've met our licensing conditions for something. And I think that's the major shift in the industry. And like you touched upon, was even in areas where the regs aren't as specific about safer gambling, it doesn't mean we don't do it. We're keeping the same standards, because it's about the reputation of the operator, but also it's that human, that humane part of it now. And I think that's been a major shift in all of this, is that it's just it's not dumbing it down, but it is business as usual now. It's not about trying to do something because we're told. It's embedded, and I think that's a real shift.
Which is even better in reality, that it's embedded, because regulations can change, jurisdictions will change, where we move from one place to another will change. But if it's embedded in us to see that there's a player behind the screen, which sometimes is hard to remember, that there's someone who, player XYZ is a real person in a real place, who has a real family. So the fact that this is in our minds from the get-go, that's brilliant. That's all we need.
Yeah. So we talk now about the operator side, and now there is awareness on this side how does the awareness change on the other side? Did you recognize an increase of players using your services?
Yes, in fact, I mean, with the pandemic in itself, we did amp up our advertising and as much as possible trying to reach as many people as possible. And they are reaching out. They're starting to, not all of them have a gambling addiction, but what we need more is people to touch on and make contact before they get an addiction, which is what I'm happy about that they're doing. So they would start making contact when they start to notice that they're gambling more than they intend to, or that family problems are starting to arise and they don't understand why their partner is so against the slots or the sports book, for example. So we'd have that conversation, and at the end of it, they realize, okay, maybe I need to impose some limits, for example. And that is fantastic. So yes, even from the player side, there's way more awareness on gambling problems, although there is still that sense of stigma and shame about having a problem. But that's with anything. Anytime you have a problem, it's quite difficult to accept that you have one. But we are seeing an increase of people who are starting to admit that, yes, maybe they lost the way a little bit, and with some help, they can get back on track and enjoy stuff anyway.
And do you think that's sort of like a consequence of sort of, you know, when you look at sort of marketing now, there is more of a steer towards that, you know, it's no longer when you're watching some of the adverts that it just talks upon what their product is or what their bonus is or stuff like that. And actually it's focusing on that education topic. So that stigma, hopefully, I don't know if you agree, in time will ease a bit because it becomes something that people are more educated on.
Yes, I am a big fan of psychoeducation, of education in general. We need people to see things and understand that people don't become addicted because they're cruel or selfish or just stupid or irresponsible, for example, that your sibling might end up addicted, or your parents, or yourself. And more people are actually starting to speak out about their experiences with gambling and how they affected the people around them and how they sought help. And by hearing other stories, the real, true stories, more people are reaching out and saying, you said that this was happening to you in the beginning, this was happening to me as well. Am I going to escalate to that as well? So this all helps. And I do believe education was a big factor in it, that you're seeing shows or adverts or that little fine line where you're told, look, gambling is not to make money. You're not going to, you may hit a jackpot, but it's not very likely that you will. So just keep it fun. And you start to question how you were thinking about your gambling and how you thought that you're going to hit every jackpot possible, or that you can trick the system or mess with the machine, or if you really know a team well, you're definitely going to win all the money possible. And that can only change with education and awareness, which I think we're working way more towards now. Sort of giving the player and the people around them the power and ability to make informed choices and to challenge certain myths and ideas that we might have.
Okay, no,
Perfect.
I think.
So,
Sorry, I think I went on a bit on a monologue.
No, absolutely. No. I mean, it's you know, essentially, I think it's you know, it's a very big thing. I think you know what you just said with you know, you're not there, you know, to make money. It's essentially not a job. It's just, you know, adult entertainment, 18 plus, which you know, it should be seen as such. I think one more thing before we essentially go to the next part. I think can you describe what donations mean to you? What those donations enable you to do in the future?
So thank you. Of course, I would like to start off by thanking the fact that you are spending this time today to collect donations for Glücksfall. And of course, thank you to all the people who are donating and will keep on donating. These donations mean a lot. It means that we can push more for education. We plan on going to schools to talk about responsible gambling and what gambling is, and even responsible gaming, because we're seeing another element there as well, minor protection, essentially. We want to go more to older universities, older students. We want to keep offering the service that we offer. We offer a helpline that is open 24/7. and we pay our professionals. We have counselors and therapists who answer those calls. So this will keep the helpline available. With donations, we can add more languages to those helplines, so we can actually support more people. It means a lot. These donations mean a lot to our little NGO.
That's as you just said, Mel, I think it's first of all, fantastic charity. Second of all, I think it's very important to support charities like you, because today you depend on on public funding, on crowdfunding, because otherwise you obviously can't really keep it up, and it's essentially a great charity, and this is why we're supporting it. We've got one question from the audience. So basically, if you're watching it right now, get involved. You can comment right now. Please share this. Please share this with your colleagues, with your mates, who will essentially benefit from this, and also be able to contribute. Essentially, a question for you, Mel, from the audience: is problem gambling a mental health issue?
Very good question. If we had to look at the diagnostic and statistics model, which is the manual, which is the DSM, which is what psychiatrists use. There's also the ICD, which is what other psychiatrists use, because it depends if you're in America or Europe. It actually is finally listed as a behavioral addiction. Before addictions were purely substances, but now in the latest editions, it's actually been registered as a behavioral addiction. So yes, it is a mental health issue. It's a mental health concern.
Okay, I hope that answers the question. I think it does. First of all, thanks again for taking the time to join us here. We hope we can raise a lot of money for you.
Thank you.
And we'll keep doing so. First and then second of all, a Merry Christmas to you and your family.
To you as well.
And to your colleagues, thank you very much. Stay safe, stay healthy, and hopefully, see you in person next year in Malta.
For sure.
Indeed.
Take care. Bye bye.
Yes, take care. Thank you so much, guys.
Speak soon. Bye bye. So I think it was a fantastic guest. I think the charity as it is. We said it before. Fantastic charity. Please get behind this. As I said before, it doesn't matter what amount you are donating, but please donate and take part. And I think also some interesting points. And I think Stephen, you in your conversation with Mel, I think again, just to highlight it, I think the culture, the cultural change within this industry in the past 24 months has been some sort of incredible, I would say. In the end of the day, it's a well-needed change, I think, because again, also what Mel said with retaining players, having players stay with you because they know they're safe, they can spend amounts that they can afford. I just think it's it's very important to have people like obviously Mel and charities like Luxval to support consumers, because in the end of the day, it's also I think also for your people in your teams, I think it's quite difficult sometimes to have that one-to-one conversation with with your end customers, and they might need that kind of third party to come and obviously help them, which is also needed for the future.
Yeah, really important thing. I would like to toast for Glücksfall. We haven't had a drink so far, so
okay,
we should start right now.
The coffee says the energy drink. Here you go. So cheers.
What is that, Roger? That doesn't look good. Is
it like, are you gaining muscles or what are you doing?
I don't know what he's doing. I think he just, because it's a live cast, he couldn't go to the toilet.
Hey, it's not come that far yet. Hey, oh man. Hey, maybe in a few years' time I'll be a celebrity, so I can go in the castle in the jungle. You know what I mean? And then I can survival skills.
Roger with Bear Grylls. I don't think anyone will tune in, mate.
Stephen, do you agree that we don't toast with whatever is in this bottle?
Yeah,
We just
I'm steering clear. We toast together and leave him to drink his whatever it is.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Look, I mean, I'm just saying it's for the special occasions. I've got I've got a nice bottle here with me, but you know, it's not it's not time for that yet. But well, talking about time, it's actually time for the next guest, and you know, we briefly just touch upon this point with the UK GC review up and coming. And herewith, I would like to welcome Richard Williams to the table. So Richard is from Keystone Law, and he will be talking with us a little bit about what's going on a regulatory perspective. So James, if you'll be so kind to plug Richard, and there he is with
there he is. Look at that.
Hi guys.
Is this a time where we have to put our hat on?
I guess so. Yeah, I guess we all need hats. I've just been frantically running around the house trying to find some Christmas outfits, but my kids have taken them all to school today. So this is what I was left with, which I've had to sort of cut with some scissors at the back, so it'll actually go onto my head. But there you go. That's the best I can do.
I have to say, probably
for you.
Look, because I couldn't cut it like. And I don't want to,
Oh, you need some of my skills.
Yeah, I mean, I know exactly why Simon is laughing anyway, but yeah, we're not allowed to talk about this. But anyway, Richard, first and foremost, a very weird year, and I guess so for you as well, because there's been just so much going on. So, what's been happening, in your world? What was the, let's say, the biggest things, like for you that you've been working on in the past 12 months?
Yeah, well, I mean, I guess one of the worst things about it is we've had no chance to get away anywhere, have we? Because I normally see you standing behind you in the queue at Manchester Airport, going to Malta or Gibraltar to various events. So for me,
that priority boarding life, yeah.
Yeah, so that's been one of the negatives for me. Certainly not being able to get out and about. We'd regularly go off to Sigma in Malta. We'd go off to KPMG in Gibraltar, and all of those things, unfortunately, have not happened this year. So it's been pretty tragic, really. But looking forward, I have to say my 80-year-old father's just been for his first shot of the vaccine this morning. So I'm hoping that's a good sign that by April time, maybe we'll all be further down that road, and hopefully we'll all be resuming normal service. But yeah, it's been an extremely weird year. I mean, just thinking back, I think with you guys, we did a podcast around about March, April time, just at the start of the pandemic. And we didn't probably appreciate what long haul we'd be in for then. It just seems like a lifetime ago, really. And, nobody could predict at that time what's happened to the industry. I mean, I think the initial thoughts from gambling lawyers would be that this is pretty negative for the industry as a whole. I mean, lost all the sporting events. We've got people like Stephen, your William Hill, your betting shops would be closed. It had the appearance that it would sort of decimate the industry, but if anything, it's been quite the reverse. People got off, and gambling operators are a pretty inventive lot, and people got off with the virtual sports. We saw the growth in that. We saw a growth in casino gambling, which obviously not only were the positives from a financial perspective, but also highlighting issues from the Gambling Commission and concerns that whilst people are sitting at home, in some cases on furlough, idly sort of twiddling their thumbs, that gambling may become more irresponsible and there would be greater risks. So we've seen that sort of play out. We've seen what's happening in the States, and Caesars, William Hill, and so on, and I think that there'll be more of that to come. And well, for one, I wish I'd bought some shares in William Hill on whatever it was, the 23rd of March, when they were down at the 39p rate, and have now quadruples or whatever it was. But unfortunately not.
Yeah, Stephen is a happy man, as you can see.
No, I think in hindsight, you look back on a lot of that, and a lot of companies and stuff, and you sometimes sort of think, what could have been. I know a few of my friends, and always just sort of every time when I see him, and well, why didn't you tell me? And I'm like, well, I don't know. Like, it's not like you sit in William Hill and they go, this is going to happen tomorrow. Like, it's all, you know, we're a PLC. It's all locked away. You know, well above my my level. So yeah, it's been an interesting time. But I agree with Richard with the period of shops closing, and I think it's a good sort of bit to call out the work the BGC done, and also what the high street has done in terms of the operators, you know, being able to be open in tier 3, whereas previously we were closed purely on the recommendations and what we're doing over there. And I know that so far, touch with William Hill, we've had some really great feedback, you know, limiting visits to a day, you know, customers can't be in shops for 15 minutes. It's just using common sense and stuff like that. And I think that, you know, it does show the high street isn't dead, and that there's an important role for that to play going forward as well.
And well, I mean, talking about share prices or like things rising in worth, I mean, what's going on with Bitcoin? Holy moly! It's like you know, I think we started the year off like something around $9,000, $8,000, I believe, and now we're like 22,000. I mean, it's absolutely crazy. It's yeah,
it is. It's true. I do a bit of on the side. I do a bit of day trading on Bitcoin. Have done for a couple of years. I won't name the product, but there's some trading software which will trade on swings in the price, and it's phenomenal, really. If you think about financial markets, about how shares may change, you know, 1%, and people would be profiting from that, and then you watch the swings that are going through Bitcoin of 5-10%, sometimes in 24 hours. Incredible. I dare say, you know, I've been watching the price of Bitcoin today, just thinking it's unstoppable, and I dare say there will be a lot more peaks and troughs along the way, but certainly it seems to have reached that critical mass now, doesn't it? That it's competing with fiat currency as a, you know, genuine store of wealth.
And with all that money you're making on Bitcoin, you could have bought a bigger hat, Richard.
That's for next year. That's for next year. Yeah.
And I mean, from that perspective, you know, to go back to the UK gambling market, because there's been a lot of movement on that. You know, this year there was this, you know, essentially call for evidence, and you know, many participated. So you know, can you tell us a little bit more, Richard, what the kind of outlook is for the UK you know, gambling laws maybe in the next few months?
Yeah, certainly. So we've now had the government's response to the House of Lords Select Committee and its recommendations, some of which were accepted, some of which weren't accepted, and then we've got this consultation now on reviewing the Gambling Act and the legislation, which was, I always take issue with this, analog law in a digital age, or that sort of ilk, which I disagree with, because actually the Gambling Act, and I've said this many times, the Gambling Act in 2005 and introduced in 2007, well, internet operators were already up and running by then. I think William Hill was 1999, 2000 for their internet operations. So we've certainly had a massive technological development. So what you didn't have previously was your smartphone in your pocket that you could gamble on quite so easily. And those things have changed. But I do take issue with this sort of demonization of the Gambling Act 2005 to say that it's not appropriate for our modern times. I actually think this huge push for replacing the Gambling Act has been driven to some extent by the popular press and the demonization of gambling. I don't personally agree that you need to make such drastic changes to gambling legislation. I think it could be done through whether it's remote technical standards, whether it's you know, deposit limits, loss limits, whether it's speed of play for casino games and so on. But I think there's a wide range of things that could be done within the current framework, and I personally don't think it's necessary to just do away with this sort of knee-jerk reaction to have a new Gambling Act. Well, actually, what will that achieve? And I think also people look at gambling as a whole without seeing the sort of perspectives that it goes from. So it goes from, you know, good causes with lotteries, it goes from pool betting, it goes through sports betting, it goes to sort of what we'd see as more higher risk products like casino games, skill games. And you can't just treat all of those things in the same way. I think you've got to have some sort of concentration on the higher risk, or seen as being the higher risk products, because if you have this sort of demonization of gambling that starts to affect other lower risk, which is, you know, somebody goes out for a night and plays bingo, in reality that's not going to create any harm. And I agree there are areas of gambling that need to be looked at, and that there is harm, and that there needs to be something done about it. But I don't think we can treat this with a broad brush approach. But certainly what we're looking at now is the end to the consultation. You've seen the consultation questions. We've seen the government's response to the House of Lords. We probably know where things are going. I imagine not a lot's going to happen until the end of 2021 at the very least, but it's certainly going to have some really fairly significant change for the British gambling market.
I mean, I won't mention the Labour politician, because it's obviously your your favorite one. But in terms of let's say what the realistic view is on this, so would you expect from your point of view that there will be huge changes, or will this rather be, let's say, like a normalization to kind of adjust to the whole smartphone era, I would say?
I think that changes will be relatively modest to my mind. I don't think there's going to be any huge changes. I don't think there's going to be a clamp down on gambling per se. What I do think is unfair, and what's become apparent over the last 10 years, is that you've got this very significant distinction between land-based gambling, which in actual fact we should treat as a lower risk because the person's present, you can see their activity, and remote gambling. And I do think places like casinos and betting shops are in actual fact the better places to regulate and control responsible gambling. So I do think the regulation is going to swing from favouring and allowing the rapid growth of remote gambling, internet gambling, to back into regulated premises. And if I was a casino operator, of course, they've been crying out for this, because over the last 10 years, their business has just been chipped away at. So I do think, my personal view is trying to favour those person-to-person premises for gambling. We've just neglected those, and I think there needs to be more concentration on that, and perhaps a tightening at the higher risk end of the remote market.
Which is again, I think because you've obviously got an appointment straight after this, and I don't and we don't want you to be late, but I think we definitely should pick this up, this conversation in the next few weeks, and to go a little bit more depth about it, because 10 minutes it's such a short time that you can just go over the main points. Yeah, I mean, first of all, thanks very much for coming on such a short notice, and I also thank you for all of the let's say summarization and all of the kind of views that you have.
Pleasure.
So essentially, yeah, thanks very much. First of all, again, second of all, again, Merry Christmas, to you and your family.
Thank you.
Stay safe, stay healthy, and hopefully meet you soon on a plane to the Isle of Malta.
A bit of sunshine as well, Roger. Yeah, and thank you for supporting this charity we've heard about. That's fantastic.
Okay, so thanks very much, Richard.
Cheers, Richard.
We appreciate it.
Thank you. Bye.
And we'll see you soon. So yeah, boys, what do you think? What you've just heard? Is it going to be another bloodbath in the press in the next few months and weeks to come?
I don't know. Look, there's a lot. We spoke about it. Depending on what newspaper you pick up, Roger, it depends on the narrative, doesn't it? So I think let's watch this space. I think done correctly, this can be a real positive. And if you get the experts leading that discussion, then actually what can come out of this will be a real positive for everyone. The danger of something like this is always the fake news as such, and the scaremongering. And I think that we've got to be the work the BGC are doing and stuff like that, and let us control that narrative, because again, you never hear about good news, you always hear the bad news, and I think that we need to try and balance that out, and really push that.
So whilst we now go into the next segment, which is some very nice wishes of people from all around the gaming world, I just want to remind everyone, get involved in the comments, because we want to, hear your opinions, hear your comments, talk about some of the topics that you mentioned as well, we'll see you very shortly after the nice Christmas wishes.
Ho ho, my fellow gambling friends and fearless players. Greetings from myself also this time of the year. Oliver Betayo, my name. I'm the Chief Sales Officer of ID Now, a fearless KYC and age verification provider, rocking the global market super hard. But that's not important for now. Actually, just reflecting a bit. What a year. Crazy, I only can say. A historic pandemic, but if that's not enough, also regulation being quite a pain in most of the countries that we are all active in. Nevertheless, Christmas vacation all around the corner, time to reflect, take the time, lean back, eat and drink what you usually do. At least I will definitely gonna do that one. And definitely looking forward to a fantastic 2021, a packed sports calendar, that definitely should keep us busy. So with that, enjoy the time off, and see you all next year in all freshness. And so much for that one. Be good. Don't do anything I wouldn't do. Peace out. Thank you very much.
Hi guys, how is everybody? Hope everybody is staying safe and staying sane and keeping in touch with loved ones. We wanted to wish you the merriest of Christmases here from Lottoland in Gibraltar, and a Happy New Year. We'll see you guys on the other side in 2021. And if all that failed, then here's an unicorn to make you feel better. Bye.
Hi guys, my name is Philip. I'm country manager Germany at sports betting operator Interwetten, and first of all, it's a pleasure for me to be part of this amazing podcast. Unfortunately, I can't be part of it today. That's the reason why I sent a few video messages. First of all, thank you very much for a very good partnership with ID Now and Bureau. And I wish you all the best for next year. Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and have fun, guys, with this amazing podcast. Hopefully see you soon. Bye-bye.
Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year from Team SBC. 2020 has been a difficult year. Lots of changes to the way we used to do business, but most of us accommodated well, which is great news. And I think all of us are looking forward to 2021. So again, Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Hello, Roger. This is David from eBot7. Just wanted to wish you a Merry Christmas and hopefully a good new year. 2020 draws to a close, and it's been a pretty hard and tough year this year, but still lots of amazing things have happened. Some lesser amazing things have happened as well, unfortunately. But I'm pretty confident that 2021 will become a very, very nice year, and we'll all get back to our normals. That being said, I wish you a Merry Christmas and good luck in 2021.
Best wishes to everyone from all of us here at Sky Global. Cheers.
Trusting your customers is the right thing to do, but really knowing them is profitable. Our business world is constantly changing. The use of technology has become an integral part of our lives, and there have never been more opportunities to connect to our customers. But at the same time, it has never been easier to steal payment information, hijack online accounts, or to take on another person's identity. Every second, a huge amount of data is collected around the world. At Krufbergel, we not only have the knowledge, but also the technology to foster customers, minimize risks, and identify fraud attempts in advance. Want to learn more? Find out what we can do for your business. Highbright, Risk Management and Fraud Prevention by Krufbergel.
And there we are back from a little advert, break. But I mean, so much, so much positivity. Great to see that everyone is in good spirits, which is good to know. I mean, I
want to know if people got paid for that, because do people get paid to say hello to you? You seem to have a lot of friends. Because if so, I want some pay.
No, don't worry. I don't have to bribe people. It's all good. Well, not yet, anyway. But seriously, I was laughing so much because of the unicorn. What an absolute legend Bogdan is. Like, seriously, here's a shout out to obviously the guys Lotalan as well. I was make me laugh. Well, here we're back. Back to the next guest, a very special guest from the Isle of Man, from the island that is COVID-free, I believe. So, please welcome to the stage, Ty. There he is.
Hey guys, how's it going?
Hey there.
How are you doing, boss?
I'm all right, mate. Listen, I can live up to the second part of that with the island being COVID-free, but I can't live up to the first part. Definitely not a special guest.
Well, let me just firstly say so. I think the first time when we met was at a KPMG event at the Isle of Man, and then basically talked about all possible in gaming, and then one thing I just wanted to plug, because you are essentially involved in building a football team on the Isle of Man. I mean, obviously now I guess with COVID it's a little bit. It's been just a little bit impacted, maybe, but maybe can you explain like a little bit what you were involved in and what you guys were doing in the past 12 months before?
Yeah, absolutely, not a problem at all. So as you know, my day job, or the one that actually pays the bills, Roger, is e-gaming. But I'm one of those infuriating people that has to have numerous things on the spin at any one point in time. I think it might actually end up with my wife divorcing me at some point in time. But hey, listen, we'll ride that train until the wheels come off. But yeah, so don't tell her I said that. But yeah, so my background, for those that don't know me, originally was in sports coaching and football coaching, and then originally sort of I had that epiphany moment where I was going, okay, like the worlds of business and sports coaching and sports management, they sort of cross over and they really complement each other quite nicely. And then that sort of took me off on a different pathway, but I never really fell out of love of that whole piece of coaching, developing people and really trying to bring them on. And I guess in the gaming industry, we've been able to do that as well. Some of the people that have come through my time when I was a director at the Gambling Supervision Commission are now the sort of shining lights in the compliance industry of gaming. So it's really, really close to my heart. And what we tried to do with the club over here is set something up that basically created development pathways. And by that, we've basically got technically a very good level of player on the Isle of Man, but they lack opportunities. They lack the ability to make the jump into that big step into the career path, which is getting into the world of professional football, because they're just not exposed to it at a high enough basis. And on an athletic level on the island, we clearly produce great athletes. We produce Pete Kenyaks, Mark Cavendish's, world champions and Olympians. champions. But for some reason, we just haven't been able to get it over the line in the world of football. And we've had some really good success stories, but they're all at lower level. You know, we've got like pros who play in the in one tier down from the MLS in the US. We've got one of our guys from an ex-footballer I used to play with on the island here. He scored the winning goal for Marine in the FA Cup the other day, you know, on the BBC. And we've got these one-off cases, but we just haven't been able to do it consistently. So the club is going into the UK pyramid of football to make sure that on a weekly basis, all of those players are getting an opportunity at club level to basically show their potential and show their ability that they've got in a team that's really set up to get the best out of them, playing in a system that they're familiar with, playing with teammates that they're familiar with, instead of doing the traditional thing of going into you know, going off to a trial session or something and get, you know, you could be a you know, a central midfielder and you get thrown in at left back because nobody knows who you are and nobody knows how to get the best out of you. So that's it in a nutshell. We've got nothing like that on the Isle of Man, so it's trying to do that. And then you know, we decided that wasn't enough of a challenge, so we threw in a multi-club model, a multi-sport model, really to just ramp it up. So that's familiar, like, you know, our European friends will be really familiar with that. So the likes of Barcelona, where you have a basketball team, you have a handball team, you have a football team. So we're trying to do that as well. And yeah, the COVID sort of got in the way a little bit, very inconvenient, and it's slightly vexed me, to be fair. But you know, we've got great support on the island, and we're doing some really great things over here. We took part in a charity match for a local heart charity last night. So in a horrendous December night, and Roger, you know how bad the Isle of Man can be in December. You know, we have 500 people going down to support that charity last night.
Like, as I'm in the Peak District, I mean, obviously, like, you know, sometimes on a good day you can see a little bit, you know, of the island just over the horizon if you're on the peaks. But like, yeah, I mean, it's the same over here, mate. So it's so it's the same for everyone.
Well, you know how to do bridge that gap now. You know, we're offering jet skiing holidays now as well. You've heard about this, maybe, of the guy who jet skied over from Scotland and is now in prison on the Isle of Man for breaking COVID rules. That's a genuine joke. Really? That's genuine. That's not even a joke. That is actually real.
Wow.
Google.
I must have been desperate then to get a pint, you know.
Mate, my view would be, I mean, he came over to speak to some girl that he'd been on the internet with or something. I'm thinking, mate, have some self-respect. Do you know what I mean?
Well, wasn't it the same as like that Italian man who walked 450 kilometers just to get away from the argument he had with his wife as well? I mean, I know COVID's been bad for a lot of sort of married couples and stuff, and people are bickering, but I don't think I'd walk 450 kilometers. He got arrested in Poland as well.
Yeah.
People are crazy.
I wouldn't be dispensing advice from the proclaimers, put it that way.
So Ty, I mean, how was the you know, because you obviously recently started at Annexio, obviously something new for you, you know, ventures new, you know, from your perspective, how's the year been, and what's the outlook from your side for you know, for the next year?
Yeah, really interesting, Roger. Yeah, I mean, I guess I started off the year with an Asian-facing operator where my role was more commercial, and it was really about trying to sort of grow that business into the Asian market. And that was the end for me of a sort of 2-year period that I'd been with that company. And it was just time. You know, I think COVID and the whole lockdown thing has been really challenging for people, but it's also challenged us as people to really sort of do a bit of navel gazing and decide what we want out of life and out of, you know, the next year and the next year and a half and whatever it may be. And I just decided it was time to move on and take a new challenge on board. And the guys at Annexio came and sold me a challenge there, which I was really into. So yeah, that was the move taken care of. And then I mean, I guess next year for here, you know, the challenge for us at Annexio is, which I've been set, is to grow a world-class compliance department. And I quite like that because it's not messing around. You know, it's not, let's have an average compliance department, or let's have a pretty good one. It's like, let's go with a world-class one. So there's something in that challenge that I really sort of quite buy into. So yeah, we've got a great team here. It's a great business, really healthy business that's got a good established market foot in the marketplace already. So it's really about saying, how can we take it to that next level and kick on now? And I've been blown away by the support of the guys. You know, it truly is fantastic. So the challenge for us this year is really to make sure we consolidate our position and then grow it. We've got some exciting entry points into new markets. So really, from my perspective, it's about how do we do that and make sure that, you know, we're as the compliance side of the business, that we're keeping the business safe and allowing it to sort of be profitable, make money, but do it in a safe way.
Yeah, and you know, again, it's I guess from everyone the same message. You know, we want to, you know, you want to do it in the right way and just you know, have a solid foundation to go from there. Because otherwise, it's just you know, you have to differentiate yourself in the market nowadays because there's just so much competition. You know,
yeah, totally. I think it's a great point, Roger. I think, you know, one of the things that we really looked into before I agreed to come and join the team, it was about their sort of ethical position, you know, and where they were in relation to the whole safer gambling discussion point, and they're coming at it from exactly the same place as me. As you know, Roger, one of my other things is the Safer Gambling Coalition in the Isle of Man here, where it's sort of a group of an industry group of operators that are basically working down a sort of self-regulation piece, really, and that sort of fits with me, and it fits with my ethos in the world. You know, I don't think any of us in the gaming industry want to take a salary home at the end of the day that we know has come from people who, you know, are worse off because of taking our services. I don't believe that. I don't believe that for 1 minute. But you know, it's getting tougher, and basically, as an industry, we need to sort of step up and make sure we're up to the task. You know, that's just the way it is. I think there's plenty of opportunity for us as operators to demonstrate to customers that we've got their best interests at heart. And I'm not an apologist for the industry in any way, shape, or form. For me, it's a very, very valuable form of adult entertainment. And you know, I'm not here to say that it shouldn't exist. Far from it. I think it serves a very, very useful purpose for a lot of people. But you know, there is a minority that we need to look after, and quite frankly, as an industry, we need to do more, and we can do more. You know, and I think that's going to come from what I'm really looking forward to for the next year is really us all setting off on this venture, which of you know, for once, let's have a race to the top. You know, we've done the race to the bottom piece as an industry. We've done that over, you know, the early 2010s, and you know, let's really put our money where our mouth is and be ambitious about this, and set out to customers exactly what they mean to us and how important they are to us, and that we have got their best interests in heart. That's the exciting thing for this year for me.
I think you know, you're making a great you know, case there, Ty, to also be like a motivational speaker for the, you know, for the industry, because I you know, at the end of the day, I hope you know, everyone comes with the same. I mean it, like everyone comes you know, should come with the same energy, you know, because you've obviously, you know, come on here, we've had some comments, you know, everyone's
I think he's after your job, Roger. I think we replaced
I know
you with Ty.
I'll burn out after about 30 seconds, and then you'll realise there's nothing left there behind it. So then I'll go off quickly.
Well, I mean, if we're going out for 10 minutes, so that argument doesn't go. But no, I mean, seriously, because you obviously got, and obviously your next appointment, I don't want you to be you know, too late, but you know, just because we're running a little bit over. But look, Ty, it's been an absolute you know, pleasure to have you with us. And you know, thanks again for obviously you know, joining, for your comments and for what you contributed. So and I hope to have you on one of the next podcasts as well, just so we can, you know, talk a little bit more depth as well, and hopefully next year I can also, you know, visit the island and we can do it there. Who knows? But until then, you know, thanks very much, man. Have a you know, Merry Christmas. You know, enjoy the time with your family. And then all the best for the new year, and also all the best to our next year as well.
Yeah, thank you, and thank you guys. Like, genuinely, Roger, thanks for having me on. You know, I know we've been trying to do this for a long time, and you clearly judged it very well by only giving me 10 minutes, which is good. That's the right choice to make. So yeah, listen, gentlemen, all the best to you and your families. Have a great one, and I'll see you on the other side, and hopefully, 2021's a better one.
Cheers. Thanks, Ty.
Take care,
mate. Thank you. Thanks. Bye. Well, that was fun. Well, I mean, this story about this guy from Scotland, man. What's it?
Oh, it's mental. It's mental. I think it's funny. Some people just need to get out, don't they? Just to get ski. And Roger's back on the drink again. But no, I was sort of. I mean, just listening there, Roger, like to Ty, and obviously his passion, not just within the industry, but also with the football clubs and sport and all the good stuff that brings to people as well, especially on an island. Driving that and getting people together. I think next time we're all over there, I'll have to bring my football boots and dust them off and we'll all have a game or something, because it sounds very good. So. And
a very, very valid point also, from Alan. Thanks for contributing first of all in the comments. It was a very important point that Ty also made here. Self-regulation is needed, and also shows that the industry has matured in a way, because I think regulation is all nice and well, but I think the kind of thinking has to go beyond the regulation. So okay, how can we actually make this regulation an enabler for us? How can we actually make things better? And I think Ty, as he said, that contributing to communities, looking out for the minority, which is a big thing, because again, gambling is is obviously being used and is being used in a good way, to contribute to certain funds. I mean, the lottery fund certainly funds so many so many charities, so many groups that have been helped, like shelters, etc. It's at the end of the day, you have to see this adult entertainment, like Ty said, which was a very, very good point, and then you have to look beyond that, but also with the self-regulation, a very, very good point. There's been £340 so far donated. Wow. Thanks so much. We're just halfway through, £340. The target is £1,000, but as I said, every penny counts. So, thanks very much to everyone so far that has donated. And let's keep it up. Let's keep it up. Next guest here, going from Ty, from the northwest to the northeastern Spanish, Peter. So we've got Peter Murray.
Has he learned Spanish yet?
Well, I should hope so, that he can speak a little bit of Spanish by now, because he lives in Spain now. So welcome, Peter.
Hey. I don't know what you're laughing at. Is it the Isle of Man football shirt? I'm assuming that's
wow.
Peter, did the outfit behind you not fit? So you hung it up?
No, I've been eating too much chocolate. It's Christmas. So I realised this morning that when I went to get my Christmas jumper, that this time last year I was in the UK and I left it there, and clearly since March or whatever it was, I've not been able to go back and get it. So the nearest thing I can get is the hat. And
weirdly, Peter, weirdly with the hat and the braids and the clearly sort of style of property you live in, I do feel like we've transported back to like horrible history or something like that.
Oh, humbug! You know what you mean? It's the Spanish homes. They're built for the summer, so you get these high ceilings, and in the winter it's bloody freezing. But so I'm shivering here, because I'm stingy enough not to put the heating on. But good to see you anyway. I love the impression of the three wise men. It's very that time of year.
I mean, talking about that, it looks a little bit like Christopher Columbus is about to set off, to see America.
More like a Viking marauder, I would hope.
Indeed. Anyway, Peter, I mean, first of all, again, congrats, for winning the SBC award. I mean, we all know it was rigged, so here's
yeah, I read the wrong card out right now.
I'm the same with you guys. I am so cynical about those things until we win them, and then you know what? It's perfectly good. And it's strange to see a couple of you there on the same table as Warren. So, do you
know if my favourite Welshman Warren Russell survived tonight? I haven't heard much from him since. I know that there may be a potential that the award got lost somewhere. I'm just, hope he's found it.
We have these daily sort of drop-in calls at 9:15 UK time, and a lot of the company jump on, and we're all expecting Warren to bring the trophy, and he was sat there looking a bit quiet, and he didn't realise where he'd put it, but we now know where it is, and it should be back in safe hands pretty soon.
Oh, it's been found.
Oh, that's good. That's good news. We was worried. I did get a WhatsApp the next morning asking me if I'd stolen the award, and obviously I didn't. So I'm pleased it's been.
It sounded a good night. And hey, look, at least it was one of those events where there was human beings together. Because quite frankly, since March, and where I live, they could lift restrictions up and down. But I've had 2 days in Gibraltar and then a day in Berlin with one of Roger's colleagues. But that's it since March. So I think. The chance to have a few beers and meet up, which seems to be a theme running through the guests coming on here about drinking and Malta and that sort of stuff. But it sounded a good night. Just a shame I couldn't be there.
Peter, what's been happening this year for you? How did you find this year? I mean,
it was interesting starting with a company. What was it, a week before lockdown? And frankly, they're still employing me, which is always great. But yeah, I think it was interesting because I've met 3 people in the whole company, and yet, 9-10 months later, I feel I know them better than I know in any other company I've worked in, and I know far too much about Wales. Because if you get on the company dial-ins and you get on the company quizzes and everything else, I don't know about you guys, the challenge I've had is it's not really comfortable just having Zoom meetings and team meetings, etc. But what it's been great for is getting to know your colleagues way too well. And so yeah, that bit's been great. But I think realistically, I'm the same as everybody else. It's you get through it, and by the nature of the industry, by the nature of our jobs, it's not feel right to sit where you are 7, 8, 9 hours a day on laptops. But we've got light at the end of the tunnel. There's a vaccine coming, and we should all be traveling again, hopefully in the next sort of 5 or 6 months. Because like Rogers, my parents got vaccinated on Tuesday in the UK, so that gives you a bit of comfort. Yeah, no, it's great. And ultimately, that's what it's going to be like for the rest of the population over the next 6 to 8 months. So hopefully, whatever the next live event is and whatever it looks like going forward, I think we're all really looking forward to that.
And Peter, just for some of the listeners who sort of read some of that fake news you see on social media, neither of your parents have grown an extra arm or anything like that after having the vaccination, have they? Because I know there's a lot of fake news going around that they're putting stuff in it. Can you just confirm they're okay and not grown any other body parts?
No, but clearly Microsoft can follow them wherever they go now. Bill Gates has rung them up twice. I don't know. It's one of those things. What can you do with people who simply, purport to that kind of information? Is just take your vaccine, get on with it, and we'll all get back to life pretty soon.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I did sort of pick up a couple of things. I know, we're talking drinking and gambling doesn't work. I've got my kids involved in this. So I thought you might be asking what were the key things from this year. So I sort of did it alphabetically. You mentioned earlier at the start about A to Z. So for me, I've got 4, right? So the first one is affordability.
You ain't got that long to go through the whole alphabet. We've got other kids.
Well, I can't think of anything that's it. And then there's an acronym at the end of it, but there's affordability, clearly the key thing that's coming this year. R for regulation, and that's UK, Germany, Holland, and I think that's going to define the industry, not just for 2021, but for the next decade, especially the UK stuff. And you've talked about it, so I'll not go in it. S for me is the important one, and it was going to be safer gambling, but actually it's just being sensible. Whichever part of the ecosystem you're in, somebody try and be sensible and have a sensible conversation, whether it's about safer gambling or advertising or whatever. It's far too politicized. And I think we need, just in life in general, never mind the gambling sector, we need to hold more reasonable and conversation. I think Mel mentioned it right at the start, and it's good to have somebody sensible on this program. But being humane, she said being humane, and I think we need more of the Mels and the Sally Gainsburys and the Mark Griffiths, etc. And the last one for me is E, which is evidenced. Based, because really we need to be taking the subjectivity out of it and coming to the industry with sensible evidence-based results, especially for gambling. So if somebody's worked out what that acronym is,
Roger's still trying to work it out. He's just
Two of us already got it.
Yeah, that's all right. We'll leave the German guy back in there. So anyway, right. So for me, it was the
sorry, guys.
and the
Yeah, no, I was just reading some comments then. Sorry.
I'm sorry, I'm boring you.
No, anything but. I just wanted to bring in some questions for you. I mean, first of all, The first question is for you, Peter. Where did you get those braids done?
Well, it's if we had the hair, you know what I'm like. Roger's nothing up there. I've just borrowed them on. So.
Oh well, I thought maybe the Spanish sun would have brought something off that early life back, but
it has, unfortunately.
You can't have it all. I think on the I think on your point with being sensible. It's very hard nowadays to find sensible people around you. I mean, whether that's people talking about the vaccine, whether that's people talking about Bill Gates invading your living room and being the goggle box. So I don't know. But then at the same time also everyone just having field days and just doing different things. And I think I guess one wish that I would have, for Christmas certainly, is a little bit more, sensibility, a little bit more logical thinking for next year, because I think a lot of that has been lost this year, throughout.
But I think that's society in general. I don't think that I hate to make a serious point, but the fact is, it is society in general. We're all polarized and shouting and saying things that grab the attention, or the way the Twitter sphere works, and it's the way. So we have to challenge that as individuals and as companies, etc. Because it's not going to change without us putting the effort in. And whichever the side of the argument you are, the answer is nearly always in the centre, and those sensible decisions. And my concern around regulation at the moment is it's taking place in a very polarised sort of arena, whether it's the political, the media, or the public. We need these things to be, and back to my evidence-based. It's the only real way to challenge any of the arguments. So for me, that's, if there's any one thing we could do, is just try and have reasonable conversations. Look for the people who don't agree with you, but have a sensible conversation around that. It's not always going to work. We all know the industry we're in is not that sensible at times, and some of it's our own fault. But I think that's the challenge for all of us, is to at least see if we can have a sensible conversation based upon fact.
Well, I mean, maybe I think maybe also for next year we can try and see if we can have a sensible conversation with a Trump supporter. But
best of luck with that one. Now you've got up to the scale.
Yeah, because we've been here for 1 hour and 50 minutes and no one has you mentioned yet. The guy is obviously not accepting defeat, and it's been a huge voter fraud. So it's but say.
I'm happy to talk about keeping well out of the U.S. election. That's a problem.
Well, I mean, talking about U.S. election, I mean, obviously it was the biggest ever election in terms of betting. It was for every single operator, huge numbers on people betting on outcomes, and it just I think this whole pandemic also shows that people just like to put £2 on I don't know, a Biden winning Arizona. I don't know, just out of nowhere. Or it
became a show, though, didn't it, Roger? It becomes a
yes, exactly.
The way the US election is done, it's a big show, and even when you look back to some of the latest UK ones with Brexit and stuff like that, they became very Americanized, and they became very showy, and it was almost like watching a sort of soap opera rather than an actual serious, like, we're about to make these people some of the most powerful people in the world, and it becomes just a bit of a show, doesn't it? So it sort of probably fits in with that word entertainment more so now.
I mean, talking about Brexit, we've got another very special guest here who's also going to join us now. He made the Brexit from the Isle of Man down to the nice warm island of Cyprus, and actually we're going to have with Peter and Jeremy Cantor, who will be joining us. We'll have the two first ever. Look at him! Look at him!
Hey,
look at that! All nicely done. Welcome, my friend. How are you?
Thank you. I'm good. Well, how are you, Roger, Peter? Great to see you guys. Great to see you too also. Great to hear the podcast. So happy that Peter has the Hanukkah windows just above him to celebrate the holiday. Yeah, it looks like Hanukkah. Happy Hanukkah, guys.
And to you too, my friend.
And I brought my Isle of Man heart.
There you go. So the business there still hasn't been forgotten, and the house neither.
What?
No,
over there.
no. I think the broadband in Cyprus was lagging a little bit, but yeah, what I said was you still haven't forgotten your house and your origins in the Isle of Man.
No, you can never forget them. You can never forgive them either.
Well, I mean, it's in the end of the day, it's a very big move, right? I mean, going from from the very cold island to a very warm island, but it's I guess very positive for you.
The island hopper.
Indeed. But how was the move, by the way?
The move was smooth, but it was stressful, moving the family through very small airplanes in empty airports, and with 244 boxes through the container, and going through the nets of the borders opening and closing. So that was really, really good, and Cyprus welcomed us very well also. So it's all good, back in business, and back on another island.
Very nice. I mean, at this point, Jeremy, because you've now been basically everywhere in the world, I guess. Working with and for operators. How's the change been now? Like for you to go, from one climate to another. How has it been going for you?
No. There's no sensitivity to the climate anymore, and I'm able to swim in the freezing swimming pool thanks to the experience in the Isle of Man, but I don't do it. No, it's all, the main difference is that here it's a bigger island, even though it's a small island. The lockdown is being felt much less than being on a very closed island. There are flights coming in and out. There are rules to go in and out of the island, which it's stricter on the Isle of Man, and so that's the main difference. But the atmosphere here is it's still very business oriented. A lot of companies that are located here, a lot feeling the changes, whether it's coming from Europe, feeling the changes from COVID onto their business, where this big wave of harmonization coming after all the measures that were imposed by all the European countries seem to lead to some sort of harmonization in Europe that was almost never hoped by the proponents of harmonization of regulations. And now we see it coming, and we see even the ripple effects going up to Curaçao, being coerced by the Netherlands to follow the European sovereign national models. And we know that Curaçao, the Netherlands, the KSA, have also their agreements with each and every regulation in Europe. So it's going to be very interesting to see this COVID harmonization impact all over. We can see it in the impact in Sweden with the changes that have been suggested this week by the gaming groups. The changes in Germany, where you see the same kind of mindset of enforcement by the providers themselves, and by the operators accepting the new rules. The change is extremely, extremely fast, and it is being felt everywhere, as much on the Isle of Man as it is here in Cyprus.
And in terms of to obviously bring you back to this pizza, because I think we also talked about this again, going back in time, about on the first podcast we spoke about the possibility of harmonization across the globe, really, and we're kind of now seeing the first the first steps being taken, I guess. So what's your feeling on that one?
Yeah, well, harmonization's been a subject we've talked about for probably all the length of time we've all been in the industry. I think we're certainly seeing collaboration across a number of people. So, Roger, the stuff you and I are doing, working together, or operators working together, there's definitely collaboration going on around the edges. The one I struggle with at the moment is the regulators, because they're going to define what the industry looks like. And it still seems to me that there's just not that level. There's a lot of talk, but nothing ever happens. So I think whether it's and maybe it's self-exclusion might do it, or affordability, or player protection, but that's the one for me where I think they somehow need to take away the vested interests of each of like Germany and their, I think it's 16 states or whatever it is, same in other countries, same in the US. But do we want it? Yes. Is there an appetite for yes? Will it happen? Yeah, I'm really struggling to see that. So there's the challenges for all of us. I think the operators are doing a great job working together on some of the initiatives. Vendors and suppliers are doing a similar sort of thing. It's the regulators. It's that part of the ecosystem that I think needs to try and get its act together better. So on that happy note, gents, I've got to go. But I'll leave Jeremy to talk. Can we talk about something happy? I don't know what it is. I brought a bottle of mulled wine, which clearly is the same from 2 years ago. So at some point, I'm going to drink that. I wish you all a great Christmas. Anybody who's on here or doing that, please donate to the charity. These things are all really important. But for the rest of you, have a great Christmas, gents, and everybody else on the webinar. Look after yourselves.
Yeah, thanks for joining, and all the best. Merry Christmas, my friends.
Thank you. Absolute pleasure. Take care.
Yeah. Also, Jeremy. Thanks so much, obviously, to you on joining us from far away.
From night time. It's already night time.
Yes, indeed. So, look, I'll let you get on with your evening, but again, obviously, thanks very much again for supporting us here. Means a lot.
Fantastic initiative, fantastic partnership that you do with this charity, and I'm really happy to support it also to convey the message. So good on you guys, and Merry Christmas, and let's hope for 2021 that's gonna be smashing. Enough of that. Enough. I think it's the word. Enough.
Indeed. Okay. So,
Thank you.
Thanks so much, Jeremy. All the best to your family. All the best to 2021. And I'll speak to you soon. Anyway,
with pleasure always. Thanks, guys. Bye bye.
Bye.
Take care. Bye.
Well, yeah.
I've got to wipe that image of Peter from my mind now.
Yeah.
Work with
we need to have another drink.
Yeah.
Cheers to Peter.
Indeed. Cheers, guys.
You couldn't even had used a glass, right?
What do you mean?
No, you could have used a glass or a cup.
Yeah.
I get you one for Christmas.
Yeah, thanks a lot, mate. Thanks a lot. We've got another 2 guests actually to be joining the stream, and it's going to be none other than 2 German fellows that will be joining us to.
I'm getting outnumbered here.
Indeed. It's I have to. Hey, it's live. We have to watch what we're saying. Yeah. Look, the next guest that will be joining us has worked with a lot of companies. He's a consultant. He is he's been in a business for quite a lot of years. So he's been through probably 20 or 30 regulational changes, wherever that is, and a huge pleasure. I want to welcome Jochen Beaver to our live stream here. Welcome, Jochen. How are you doing?
Hi guys, I'm fine. And you?
There you go. There
he is.
Technology.
Thank you for having me.
No,
you were also great in your jumpers.
No, seriously, but I feel very, I feel very underdressed here because obviously now, Jeremy, now yourself, all coming up with suits here. It's it's totally different class here. But hey,
And
anyway.
you're just the elf.
I'm still in the office, so that's my normal office clothes.
Oh, very good. I mean, Jochen, it's well, I mean, it's a good opportunity to speak about what's going on in Germany, what's happening, kind of everywhere else in Europe. From let's say, because obviously for operators, for anyone out there, the situation in Germany is not very easy to understand. It's not.
Yes, it never was.
Yeah, it's not easy to look through. So, can you maybe describe a little bit, from your perspective, what you've seen since April this year? What's been happening for you, and I guess how crazy your clients were going all year long.
Yes. First, thank you very much for supporting Glücksfall, and we would like to double it. Whatever is donated, we will double the amount.
Wow!
Yay! That's what
really cool. Thank you very much.
That's the spirit. That's the spirit. Wow!
We need to bring in the other participants again.
Yeah, I mean that's very nice of you. That's I mean that's really cool. That's crazy actually. I mean, first of all, thanks very much for that.
Well, welcome. Yes, so this year there were some changes in Germany, and there was a new sports betting regulation, and it was possible to apply for a sports betting license again. The last time it was possible to apply, but there was never a license issued. And actually, this year they started at the 1st of January to accept applications, but then the whole process was stopped because someone was filing a court case against the process, and they stopped it for a couple of months, and now the first licenses are issued, and it's since the 15th of October. It's necessary to apply actually to be legal in Germany, and since the 15th of October, it's also possible to offer some kind of legal online casino. It's maybe not totally sensible, but the German regulator took the land-based regulation and tried to implement what is already in the land-based gaming parlors, the law, into the offer of online casino, and so, for example, it's only allowed to have a €1 stake as a maximum per spin, like it is at the slot machines in gaming parlors. And we all know from the industry that this will not work. So it might happen what we see already in Sweden, that the regulation per se is quite good, but the players do not accept the regulation. So and a lot of the players there, although there are regulated operators in Sweden, they are looking for an offer which is more convenient to them. And in Germany, because Germany is so big, and it's the gaming regulation is very much influenced by the German lottery associations. There are 16 lottery associations. They are quite powerful, and so there was a strong lobby in Germany stopping to have a more sensible online casino regulation. And I feel that the relation is in some ways is quite good, like player protection, for example. This is quite good. Anti-money laundering and KYC processes. This looks quite good, and here I think that this will work for most of the operators. But from the product side, there might be an issue in the future after the 1st of July next year, when it's possible to apply for casino licenses in Germany. Then, sorry, yes.
Yeah, so well, I mean, let's say first question, because actually, no, I will save that question for our next guest, because that's a more that's a question for a lawyer.
Sorry, Jörg.
I was just wondering, obviously we're talking Germany, Sweden. I was just going to sort of change tack a little bit to Malta and see, if you got any thoughts around the sort of pending Moneyval situation in Malta, and obviously the the challenges that potentially operators and stuff could face. I wonder if you had any views on that at this moment.
Yes, I'm following. I have an office in Malta, a company in Malta since 12 years now, and I was not able to go there for a couple of months because Malta was seen as a high risk country from a German perspective, and so it's not possible to go there. Or I could have been quarantined then in Germany. You can see a lot of impact actually of this threat of having the grey listing. For example, it's almost impossible to have a proper bank account in Malta. The most important bank, BOV, is not accepting any gaming operators anymore. Actually, they cancelled, they terminated a lot of the existing business relations, and then one of the rare banks like Sparkasse in Malta, which is not related to German Sparkasse or Austrian Sparkasse anymore, they do accept gaming operators with a proper license. But it was not possible for us to get a bank account for an operator operating under the new toleration regime in Germany. So bank accounts and payment services in Malta at the moment, this is an issue. And the second issue is corporate services. That it's very hard to find a corporate service provider with decent requirements, accepting, onboarding new clients and forming new companies. So we thought that the Germans, for example, you have the German ID card where you have, and in Germany it's you need to be registered at the local council where you live. So it's very very easy to track people, and the German tax department also is very strict. So normally Germans are quite well controlled, and if someone is accepted as a bookmaker in Germany, normally it should be quite easy to set up a company in Malta as a German and then start a business. But at the moment it's very hard. That there are some you need, in some cases we have seen questionnaires that people needed to declare the kind of watches they are collecting or the amount of cars they have, and there is no relation to the real business in Malta. I mean, it would be sufficient that there is a clear declaration of the funds which are used to fund the business in Malta, but not the collection of watches. I mean, this is ridiculous. And
no, definitely, I think that's a valid point. And I think that just from sitting on the operator side there, I would urge, if there are any people from the banking world who are listening or do listen, come and talk to us. I may be sitting here in a penguin jumper, not looking very serious, but believe me, we are better than you think. And that one fit model all and saying gaming, I know me and you, Roger, have spoken about it many times before on different podcasts and stuff, is, come and spend some time with us, because you'll be, I do think you'll be pleasantly surprised with the investment and the knowledge and the people we have, and generally that have come from financial services and come from that world. And I know that, I know we've always said, one day I'd love to have a podcast with someone from the FS space in a similar role to myself, and we can discuss sort of our problems in the past, which, publicized settlements and stuff compared to the much larger stuff that they seem to be being punished with. And yet it seems that we're the a lot of the time gaming and certainly Malta now is going to go through a really tough period. And I do urge these businesses and, make an approach that enables us to prove to these guys that we are good at what we do and we are worthy of business, and not just sort of put a line for it before it begins.
Yes, I think it was gaming and the financial services. They are regulated in a very similar way. So normally, if there's a proper risk management at a gambling operator and a proper documentation, then it should be easy to talk to financial services. But for whatever reason, still gambling is not seen as serious enough to be acceptable at banks. And it's incredible that if you look at the importance of gambling now, also at COVID, at the COVID time in Malta, that the biggest bank in Malta is not accepting gaming clients anymore. the brand actually, which is owned by which was owned by the government before, and it's now still there's a huge stake owned by the government. Yes, this but this we see everywhere, what will happen in the future is that if there are regulations everywhere in Europe, then companies will tend not to be in Malta because of these issues anymore. They will go to other low tax countries in Europe and establish the companies there, like Romania or companies in the countries in the east. So it would be, I mean, there's still a massive tax advantage in regards to sports betting, to sports betting operators when they have franchisees, because still the commission is not vettable in Malta. But it's important that Malta keeps the door open for gambling operators.
Yeah, definitely.
Which should always praises itself. That Malta is a very friendly country for for gaming operators, because also lots of the revenues, also tax revenues, etc., are obviously very important to the country itself and to the development of the country.
And it's employment as well, Roger. The
yes,
employment,
exactly. Yes,
only people employed there and some real talent, and then it also attracts people to the island with certain skills and talent as well. I know certainly from William Hill perspective, we've got a great international team over in Malta who are really striving and thriving in the environment. And it's another challenge that have to face. And I would say, again, any of them payment providers as well that might be listening, go easy on them questionnaires. Keeping me busy. But trust me, I'm going to get my own back. I'm going to start writing my own questionnaire and get them out. They're keeping me busy. So yeah, watch this space.
Jochen, I mean, as obviously said to you previously, I think we definitely should get together with also Jörg, who's going to be next, to talk about all of this in a little bit more detail, because I think it deserves the attention, because I think still a lot of people are confused what they actually are doing, what they should be doing, and where we should be going. In terms of the whole future, how the market is developing, but before we wrap it up, there's actually two comments from Alan in the chat, let me just read it to you, and then maybe just the reactions from all of you three. The problem is not the CSP and banks, but the expectations and perceptions of the regulators about gaming. We need to convince them about the gaming operators being decent people.
Absolutely. I mean, if it's Alan Alden, hi Alan, and he's also since the very beginning of the gaming industry active in this industry in Malta, and he was working for a bank, for BOV before, so he knows very well the banking sector too. And there was a massive change when I started in the gaming industry. It was around the year 2000. A lot of the sports betting operators, they had a history coming from the street. And then all of a sudden, smart people decided to go into this industry because they have seen that there is a valuable business case for them. And so it's completely different that we are now also speaking here together in this round, that in this group, that we are that is so important now that companies are in line with the law, gaming companies are in line with the law, and that you need to have decent people who understand technology, who understand compliance and the law. So it would be important that the way how gambling is seen will be changed. If you look at the UK, for example, the UK gambling regulation is so strict; it's even stricter than with most financial institutions. For example, when you are not allowed to accept credit cards anymore, then financial institutions would not be restricted in this way. So I think Alan is totally right. The perception is very important.
Definitely.
I think it's time for Stephen, Jochen, and myself just to ambush someone from financial services and get on the podcast and then to absolutely rip him apart. But maybe
just make sure it's not one of our banking partners.
No, sure, no, of course not. But I mean, Jochen, thanks so much. Dankeschön for coming on and being with us. As I said, definitely let's plan something in the near future to talk in a little bit more detail and to really give this whole topic a lot more time and love that it deserves. But I mean, thanks so much for coming on and again sharing your sharing your experience here. I mean, just over 20 years now, obviously, and being with us. So, from all of us, a Merry Christmas to you and your family.
Thank you, and to you.
And thank you for the generosity of the donation.
Yes,
That's
indeed. Yeah,
thank you very much.
And before we wrap it up, I mean, just to again, repeat it, Jochen just said that Chevron Consultants will double the amount that we will get from everyone here. So right at the moment, last time I checked, we were at £380. So ergo we'll be at 760. Jochen, it's a very, very generous offer. And that's a good karma that will that will catch us all in the next year, hopefully. So
let's aim for the 1,000. So people donate more. But
indeed. Thank you so much,
Jochen.
Have a
great
time.
Bye-bye. Cheers. Take care. Thank you very much. Cheers.
Thank you.
What a man. What a man.
Yeah.
That made Peter and his braids look silly. Come on, Peter. I want to see a donation, mate. Calling out Peter Murray.
Yeah.
Get the checkbook out.
Yeah, no, because I mean, Peter said he wanted people to know, but we'll wait for Peter to donate at some point, maybe, and we'll get to treble the amount, maybe. Nah, it's all good jokes. Yeah, I mean, again, I mean, what a gesture. It's absolute. I mean, absolutely fantastic. And Jeremy just also supported us. So as I said, we're at £380 right now, which is great. Yeah, it's. I mean, as Jochen said, everything is literally like a massive, massive weird situation, right? I mean, we're going from one point to another point, but then jumping in between in those 2 points, and we're not going. There's not a clear path. I think what we've just been talking about, you just can't see like a, I mean, obviously it's not easy. Obviously regulators have a damn difficult job too. But in the end of the day, we just have to get somewhere after some time.
It's only going to come with collaboration, Roger. It's only going to come collaborating, operators, regulators, suppliers, everyone coming together, same table, mixed industries. We're talking about banking, payments, gaming. We're crying out, certainly in gaming, for a seat at that table. We want to be part of the discussion. We don't want to be hidden in the corner and left alone. We want to be part of that conversation. We want to drive the positive change as well. So please, collaboration is definitely the key. And hopefully next year, this sort of coming out of COVID and stuff and resets people's minds a little bit and realizes that, a lot of this, technology and stuff and all of that, we can be more collaborative. We don't need to be in a room, in a posh hotel, and, we can be in our offices and our bedrooms and all that, and having these serious conversations and really changing the dynamic.
Mm-hmm. Totally right. So this is what we discussed last podcast. We invited everyone who is in the industry to sit at one table to discuss how can we make life easier for all of us. So if we collaborate, that's what we do with ID Now and CRIF, to make things easier for operators like you. And if then the regulator comes on the table as well, and then he's discussing with us maybe some new products or ways to get the conversion rate better, or to do an identification a little bit better than it's now approved by the KGM, then we're helping everybody. And then we have this win-win-win situation, which is totally wanted from everyone. And so totally agree, everyone on the same table, maybe we can do that on Malta on a rooftop terrace when the sun is shining. And Roger is having his mic and his camera.
Hey, I can see a theme coming here. Everyone's telling me, "Oh yeah, take us out to Malta." But
to be honest, I'm a little bit scared. I'm a little bit scared. The next time on Malta is going crazy.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm.
Not you, Roger. Not you. We saw that on SBC event. You not. Everyone else.
No. All I can say is, I'm definitely leaving my wallet at home. With that, let's go through the second round of some nice wishes, like from the industry, and we'll be back with you in 2 minutes with our last guest. Sadly, but the best to the last. Yeah. Here we go with the next messages.
Hi everyone. ID Now wishes you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. 2020 has been a tough year for many of us, and especially for the sports betting industry. Great to see that you plowed through nevertheless and made the best out of a grim situation. We wish you all the best for an exciting 2021 and hope to see all of you soon, maybe even at a physical event in the not too distant future.
Hi. Welcome from San Francisco. This is Mike Bolsarek and his Aristotle teammate Bishop. Wishing you a Merry Christmas and a Happy Holidays. And this isn't just my Zoom background, it's where I live. So come by and say hello sometime.
Hey folks, my name is Steven de Vogler from Karlsruhe. Let's forget 2020. It was a hard year, and I wish you a Merry Christmas, a happy 2021, and for sure, we will rock it.
Hi, as Tiptoria team, we wish you all a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And we want to say thank you to Simon and Roger for their efforts for us. Keep up the good work.
Some words from me about last year, about the year 2020. 2020 was a year of new experience and many new challenges for Internet, as well as for other operators, as well as for companies in the whole industry or in other industries as well. On the one hand, it was a year that was overshadowed by the Corona crisis, which presented the entire company with new challenges such as home office or cancelled sporting events in the spring. The whole company was in home office for several weeks. In my eyes, a new big challenge for everyone, for the company, for all shareholders, for stakeholders. Yeah, so a new big challenge because home office always sounds very great. And before Corona, I think all employees would probably have liked to be in home office permanently. I think that this time has shown us that home office can be great from time to time. But should certainly not be a permanent solution. Working, cooking, possibly children, a partner who's also in the home office. If you live together in a small apartment, it can certainly become very exhausting over time. That's my opinion. I don't have any children myself yet, and I'm very happy with my partner. But I was also very happy to see my colleagues more often again from mid-May and to exchange ideas with other people. So for me, home office is definitely an alternate solution, but not a permanent one. This was, I think, Corona crisis, but there was also other challenge due to the Corona crisis, and I think also very challenging were the cancelled sporting events, which took a lot out of Interwetten, especially in the area of sports betting. We then considered alternatives such as to some esports home cups, some esport challenges, very, very popular in this time were esports events, the football league in Russia. So a difficult and very crazy time, and hopefully this time is over very soon.
Trusting your customers is the right thing to do, but really knowing them is profitable. Our business world is constantly changing. The use of technology has become an integral part of our lives, and there have never been more opportunities to connect to our customers. But at the same time, it has never been easier to steal payment information, hijack online accounts, or to take on another person's identity. Every second, a huge amount of data is collected around the world. At Christburgle, we not only have the knowledge, but also the technology to foster customers, minimize risks, and identify fraud attempts in advance. Want to learn more? Find out what we can do for your business. Highbright, Risk Management and Fraud Prevention by Christburgle.
We're back.
There we are. We're
You know, I
back.
feel like Roger, when you got all them clips and people are saying hello and stuff, I feel like I'm on a
Yeah.
really cheap version of the European Song Contest. But you know, when you go to the thing and people are like saying hello, where are you? I feel like I need Terry Wogan or Graham Norton over the background just talking through it. So,
Was that you walking in the video?
I wish. No, it wasn't. But no, yeah, it does. That's great messages from those guys. So yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I mean, so you know, again, obviously, you know, the positivity is you know, really nice to see, and that's what I want to bring. But anyway,
Yeah, cheers. And
one
sorry
more
to
time
all
to
the
you guys.
participants. We had to show you this marketing stuff. We didn't want to, but our marketing forced us to. Really sorry. It's never happened
Yeah, someone
again.
has to pay the bills, mate. So yeah, we're not just on jollies here, mate. But hey, anyway,
now time to getting serious.
It's just so oh man, you really brought me out now. Oh jeez.
That was easy. That was easy.
Yeah, going you know, so coming to our next guest, who actually, you know, and I have to say, you know, a huge thank you to you know, to Jörg, who will be joining us in just a second. He, out of the £480 that have been so far raised, I don't know if it's just a little bit more now, but he donated £300 to that. So here's with a big round of applause. Welcome to the round, Dr. Jörg Hofmann. Hi Jörg, how are you doing?
Doing well, thank you, Roger. You're in a good mood. I'll have to join you now. Couldn't wait to do that. I think it's rather time to start drinking instead of discussing regulation. But best greetings from Germany. This is the last panel or the last discussion. So happy to answer your questions, happy to comment on things, but happy to share your sense of humor as well.
Can we talk about that jumper first? That's a great jumper.
Exactly. Yeah. I just wanted to say that is world class.
Christmas lobsters, right?
That I have never seen Christmas lobsters.
Oh, here they are.
And they are really cool.
I mean, yeah. I mean, first of all,
from my son.
you definitely beaten all of us here. So I mean, I'm sorry, I have to accept defeat, Jörg. I mean, you definitely have beaten us on the jumper side, but you win some, you lose some. So look, Jörg, I mean, first question, and I just stopped myself then with Jochen because there's a question for you in terms of around Germany, because there is essentially some certain cases going around, because we've seen that there's there's a transitional regime right now, when it comes to the gambling, and everyone's understanding was that, okay, when we're in a transitional regime and we're going to start from the 1st of July, we should be all right here with our business. But now I've seen in several newspapers and news that actually, an example, the Staatsanwaltschaft Frankfurt is now essentially also building a case against some of the operators because they're offering online casino, even though it's compliant with the rules that are coming in from the 1st of July. So how can you explain that to someone like me who hasn't got that much clue obviously about legal stuff, and maybe just as the first question and rather the most difficult one of the evening?
Well, the answer is easy. The answer is nobody can explain it to you, because nobody will understand. You have to be German. You have to be born and raised with the federal states of Germany and see that decisions which were made in other jurisdictions by one government here involves 16 different governments. I think that is the key issue of German gambling regulation. It would have been so easy if it would be subject to federal law. Then you can discuss with regulators and lawmakers. But here, lawmaking, the interstate treaty, which is the regulatory environment, is sort of a compromise where each and every single German state is willing to sign, including those who are so-called hardliners, who are reluctant and are opposing against any sorts of or any kinds of regulation. That's why our regulation is not the best approach. But put it to another level, I think it's the first approach, the first time ever that Germany is really considering regulating online gaming, and not just online sports betting, but also online casino. It's not that what we understand being a casino in the past. It's a reduced form. It's the so-called virtual slot machines, and it's online poker, nothing else. The table games, you can say the bank holder games, will be subject to a specific license, which is more or less, well, I would say limited to state-owned companies. There are some exceptions. We could leave that alone, but discussing virtual games and online casino. You mentioned, Roger, the transitional regime. So what is it? First of all, it's not a piece of formal act. It's no law. It's a decision based on a circular resolution of the state chancellery, which is a political level. The state chancelleries in Germany are, you can call them the back offices of the prime ministers. They decided, let's establish that transitional regime. And that's been specified by joint guidelines published by the Gambling Committee on September 30. The Gambling Committee is a group of 16 German regulators. They're all heading the Länder supreme regulatory authorities. And they are always involved when it comes up to developing, shaping law and decision making, or shaping regulation. And they put together a catalog of requirements. They let us know that this is applicable as of 15th of October this year. And two things like the €1 stake limit and the implementation of a so-called 5 minimum spin duration per game for the virtual slot machines. This should be applied by 15th of December, which I think was this week, of course. And the option for the industry is, if you comply, if you adjust your product exactly and on time to that new requirement, which adopt future regulation, because all this is taken from the forthcoming interstate treaty, which is supposed to come into effect as of 1st of July next year, then you will be regarded reliable and you will be subject to a waiver of enforcement. Transitional regime is nothing else than a synchronized or synchronization of a decision, the discretion of gaming regulators, how to exercise enforcement against, let's say, so-called illegal or let's say unlicensed operators. because it does not replace the necessary license. And that is most important because it's not licensing, it's also not legalizing. That's why we have this link to the public prosecutor. You mentioned the Staatsanwalt. Formally, it's still illegal gaming because the definition of illegal gaming is offering games of chance in Germany in public without being granted with a German license. It's not a Maltese or whatever license. It must be German. And so far, these operators were tolerated factually. They were guided through this period of uncertainty to the environment of regulation, licensing next year. Well, we consider it should be 1st of July, but my recollection is let's fingers crossed, wait and see, because the problem is the interstate treaty provides for the building up of a new centralized supervising and regulatory gambling body. This authority is supposed to be built up in the state of Saxony-Anhalt. It's a great idea to create a centralized body, not really like the Gambling Commission, but almost similar to that because it's centralized responsibilities, but they build it up from scratch. That means you need to consider maybe 300 people to move to that place, building up the structure, the infrastructure, and then taking over business. And I have some doubts that it will be feasible that they take over the licensing regime for virtual slots and for online poker immediately after 1st of July. I know they're pushing hard to do what they can, but if not, then the transitional regime will be sort of expanded for a while until they can take over, which sounds okay, but since you have to consider that it is still considered illegal, all these uncertainties and risks are remain. That means public prosecutors could regard the offerings, being illegal under criminal offense. I wouldn't say they should come to the result that it is, because the situation is different. I would say at least if someone is, let's say, like a startup, starting to offer these specific games of chance in full compliance as of 15th of October with no past, he might be safe, definitely safe, because that can be justified. Everything else is a matter of proportion and a matter of maybe European Union law. We will not find German courts and German authorities accepting that European argument, but I think it's a solid argument. And I think the court finally will have to decide on it, since the European Court of Justice, not a German court. But the challenge for regulators and for lawmakers in Germany is, if need be, to establish another transitional regime of the transitional regime that legalizes the offer, that creates this certainty. Another thing is, you're not allowed to do advertising for virtual slot machines and online casino under the transitional regime, because advertising is only legal if it's for licensed games of chance. So the regulators waived enforcement against the offerings, the operations and distributions, and they probably forgot, but I think they consciously did not waive the enforcement against advertising. Those good guys of the market in total were not allowed to distinguish between their compliant products and those of the black markets. This, I think, is a major challenge. Jochen did a good job in making it easier for me to touch on 2020 and regulatory development result. He told us everything that was going on in Germany. Or should I say going wrong? I don't know, maybe one of these could be. But I want to look into the future, and I appreciate that there's regulation. And you talked previously, you talked about regulatory obstacles, about communication with the regulator, which I think is a major problem in Germany, because you have to understand this is the first time of really applying regulation to the online gaming industry. It's like a novice is coming and doing business because they don't have that experience. Experience with the online industry is experience of enforcement against it, of interdiction orders, of efforts to get rid of these operators, legal challenges, uncertainty, that still remains. But now we're making good experiences with more and more experienced regulators. I have to say that there are very different regulators, but those who really deal with the details of these areas, like those in Schleswig-Holstein, long-term experience, of course, many years, since 2012. And I must also say the Regional Council in Darmstadt, which is the responsible authority for granting the sports betting license.
Yeah.
They try to do a hell of a job, and they do. They have, of course, problems, there is tight deadlines they're giving, but they really try to understand, they try to apply the rules and provisions to the best, reaching the goals of regulations. But they always have to communicate or re-communicate with the gambling committee, which I think is this group of compromises. And then so far, you will always be facing with regulatory approaches, with restrictions that are really stupid, that show some people have no clue about this industry. And it's just politically, I would say it's not just a political discussion. Sometimes it looks like this is religious, this is radical. We could do so many things better. I'll give you an example that I stopped because that's too long then. But if you imagine, there have been licenses granted to at least 21 sports betting operators. Probably today there will be more because the gambling committee met on Tuesday and Wednesday, and if they approved more licenses being granted, there will be more. Those operators who got a license were asked, so how much time do you need to implement all the license conditions? And you have to imagine this. Big operators migrating from a .com to a .de site, that takes time. That is not just overnight or a couple of weeks. It takes months, including connection to Oasis player bearing system and other things. It needs to be prepared and it needs to be proper because it's about IT security and player protection. And when I see the majority of operators submitted a timetable to the regulator saying, well, we can do some things easily within a couple of weeks, but some things need 3 months or 4 months. We received a letter saying, this is your new timetable. It has to be within 2 weeks, maybe another 2 weeks or another week. Absolutely not feasible. And that is an issue. So they're trying to challenge the deadlines by way of litigation. We haven't started operating under your license, and the first thing is doing litigation. I think that is something, this is unacceptable, but they have no other choice. And the second thing is, those operators getting the license were requested to implement all restrictions, limits, state limits, and the reduced scope of betting times within a short period of time, rather sooner than later, whereas pending applications were still factually have to be tolerated, and the whole black market is looking forward to absorbing all and getting all the high rollers from the regulated and compliant markets. The good guys, the bad guys who worked hard to be among the first being licensed, they are facing the risk of getting a massive, significant competitive disadvantage against those who were on a lower level. I think these things cannot be justified if you really want to protect the market, if you really want to channelize traffic to licensed operators. It's just the opposite. I could endlessly continue, but Christmas is approaching. We want to discuss a few other things and then
yeah, there's essentially I mean, two questions, and I could just hear myself. Sorry, but yeah, essentially, there's two questions. One is the first. The first question is: so, is the German government collecting taxes and VAT on illegal activities? That's the first question, which is very interesting. And the second question is, you know, from my side, and it goes towards more, let's say, you know, the German way, right? I mean, as Germans, usually you are, or we are always making sure everything's like right and everything's, you know, being made in a good way or whatever. So, why an example this time when you know you bring in a new regulation, you don't take, let's say, you know, consultants from, you know, different regulators, like an example the MGA, like an example the UKGC or Gibraltar or Isle of Man. Why wasn't that done? And I guess those two questions are yeah.
The first question we can keep that short, and personal complimentary legal advice. If you're representing an operator, be careful because they put you in prison in a minute. Asking such question, operators should know that if they target customers in Germany, if they sell their bets or their gambling products here, online casino, whatever it is, they certainly have to pay taxes, and the German state does not distinguish between illegal or legal operators, which is different to other jurisdictions. They say simply if it's money generated with a German customer, you have to pay taxes, and taxes means It's 5% on stakes for sports betting offerings, and it is 19% VIT on gross gaming revenue for casino games. Currently, and until the end of the month, it is 16% reduced VIT due to COVID-19. That's what happened. There's no further gambling levy for these verticals at the moment. There are discussions whether politicians would be willing to change tax rates or tax bases within the next couple of years. So far, there is no solid intelligence available if and how, other than maybe suggestions or discussions. For the time being, we can say this is a valid tax base. The operators have to consider it. If there's anybody outside having not paid any taxes, but were due to pay them, there is a simple proceeding which works as long as the tax investigators won't have you on your radar. You have to file a so-called voluntary self-disclosure to the tax authorities, meaning submitting the concrete amount, not less, rather more, of taxes you own as calculated, paying these taxes within a certain period of time, and then they will waive criminal sanctioning, which is okay. You will clean for the future. The past is okay, and no risk of criminal sanction. If not, it could really be an issue, because taxation, tax evasion is a criminal offense too, and it is enforceable across the European Union without major issues. Your second question was, again, could you remind me?
Yeah, I mean, the second question was, usually, German people are always very down to the point on what they're doing. So about the consultants from different regulators.
Discussing German engineering, car manufacturing, we're really not bad. We're good. Everything is sufficient. Building up regulation, as I said earlier, this is not so good because there's too many people involved. First of all, Jochen mentioned that at least in the past, it was always a discussion where many representatives of the state-owned lotteries were involved, and their main goal was to protect the monopoly on lotteries. I don't think that this sort of attitude is needed today, because I don't think there is a risk for the monopoly on lotteries. Not really. Those are different verticals which could be operated separately and even have synergy effects. But today, some didn't realize that things have changed. And there's also a lack of confidence against the industry. These are all pirates of the Caribbean, all crooks. Nobody cared about law and order in the past. This is what many regulators think, what many politicians think. And so far, the problem was to find common grounds. If it were the legal competence of the lender, which, by the way, it usually would be, because regulating gaming is subject to the legal legislative competence of the lender. For gaming and interstrategic stuff, they formed this interstrategic to do something which applies across Germany in total. That's why it has to be transported by this vehicle of an interstate treaty. And too many people trying to combine prejudices, reluctancy, lacking of trust, and some good ideas, some bad ideas. And so to get the 16th signature under a treaty, you have to convince this person, well, it serves even your demands. And so far, we consulted with regulators. I know that some regulators, or a group of people, consulted regulators in neighboring jurisdictions. Probably not always the right ones. So years ago, they consulted the Argel in French, which I think is not a good sample for successful regulation, where you have a high rate of convergence. But they also went to the Danish and listened to them. But in the end, all these results, I think, were not properly assessed, evaluated. Then it was just doing something that sounds and is most restrictive, and we can live with it. The effects, I think the percentage of reaching those goals, which are listed in the preamble of the interstate treaty, foremost, player protection, fighting gambling addiction, which of course needs channeling of traffic from the black market to the licensed market. I have a big doubt to make, of a question mark, that this regulation is designed to fulfill these, to meet these goals. But we can learn, and we can always improve things. We will hopefully learn at a stage when it is not too late, and we can see that the traffic is gone to Curacao or wherever it might find alternative offers which they trust, because they trust as long as they see we get the money back. That's it.
Well, I mean, let's just hope that does not happen. I mean, thank you so much, Jörg, for the detailed explanation. I think that's some, legal advice for free, actually. So there you go. That's a Christmas present here from Jörg. So
donate the money you saved, please.
Yes. I mean, by the way, just a quick update. And I'm just literally checking now. We're just at £605. Yes, we are at £605. And Peter Murray donated some money, and then said he's going to find his boss, who's going to put some more money in. And they have certainly done that. So from WT, we received another £175. So which is fantastic to see. And obviously, again, thank you so much to you, Jörg, because you chipped in with half of it, which is fantastic. Thank you so much for that, and also thank you so much for for being with us here. It was great to get such a detailed explanation, because everyone seems a little bit confused. But yeah, thanks so much again, and also to you. To Germany, a very Merry Christmas, and I hope you get some rest, because I guess last few weeks I've been non-stop, and a great start to the new year, and I'm sure next year will be even a bigger success also for you and your firm.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Cheers.
Thank you very much. Take care.
Cheers.
Have a great day.
Yes, thanks a lot,
Merry
Jörg. Next year. Thank you.
Merry Christmas.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Has our podcast
James is
asleep?
I think James has given up on us.
Yeah, I think he's fallen asleep.
I think he's gone. Look, there we go. Oh, no, he's adding. We're back.
Oh.
No.
There was Jochen again.
There we are.
Okay.
There we are. Come on, James, all the way through.
Oh, man.
Come on, James. I just want to say, Roger, just another big shout out to my favourite Welshman, Warren Russell. That's a really kind donation, so thank you. He did say he would come on and listen for a bit, so cheers, Warren. It's really well appreciated.
Yeah. I mean, what a legend. I mean, as I said, we obviously set out to reach £1,000, which is a very, which is a very high ambition, because it's not easy for everyone. But look, I mean, we've already gone over that target, because Jochen said he would double that money. So all I would say is that hopefully, Jochen, we can make it 1,000 before you double it. So let's.
What are we on, Roger? What are we on?
We're on a 605 right now, as far as I believe. Let me just double check again before I say something wrong. So it's 625 now. Look, he's everywhere. He's directing and producing his podcast, and he's also donating money. So thanks, James, from One Fine Play, by the way. So yeah, you deserve a plug, mate. One Fine Play. If you want the podcast produced, he's your man. He bought himself some ad time. Well done, man. Boys, I mean, it's been we're already on for 2 hours and 20 minutes. It doesn't feel like that. I mean, first of all, what are to you the most important points to take away from this today? From what you've heard, from everyone involved.
Yeah, I think key throughout was collaboration. Everyone's talking about the same thing, trying to get everyone together, and I think also just being able to see how strong people have come through this very difficult year. There's a lot of positive messages through there, and looking forward to 2021, ensuring that as an industry, and not just our industry, but from different sectors and that we can build, and it isn't all doom and gloom. There's a lot of bad news out there, but there is some positive stuff, and collaborating and working together, I think we can have a really good 21 and drive some positive change.
Yeah, I totally can jump into that as well. We saw with all the participants, everyone from the industry is talking to everybody. We had lawyers, we had the consulting companies, we have an operator, we have us as also companies which offer several services to the industry, and we all have the same. We go into the same direction, and this is what is really, really cool in my opinion. And I really looking forward to the next year to see and to strengthen those collaborations with you guys as well, and with the others, with the lawyers as well. And then we need to take the regulators with us into our group and discuss the topics as well to make it easy for everybody, as we discussed before. So I'm really looking forward to 2021 and seeing you guys on the next Christmas Livecast on a rooftop terrace in Malta next year.
He's still trying to get that.
Why
He's
is
still
everyone
trying to get that.
It will happen.
Like,
believe me.
Like, did you strike like an advertising deal with the
one of the hotels
with Hugo's?
Oh yeah, here we go.
They pay me.
That's going to cost you £100 donation.
Okay.
I think what's definitely worthwhile to mention is I think everyone's keen in this industry. Well, I mean, I'm saying everyone, but I'm just speaking for those who were there today and were describing certain things. I think everyone is first of all keen to improve even further, to let's say strengthen the message that it is entertainment, that operators are providing entertainment first of all, and that it should be some sort of activity that you just do because you want to switch off or whatever. And obviously next thing is that there is still a minority that we need to protect. And I just think again, the charity, and I can say it again, please, if you have any spare money, any spare change, please donate it to Glücksfall, because the work these guys are doing, I mean, you heard it firsthand from Mel, is absolutely fantastic. Supporting players who have an addiction, also players at risk, and I think everyone here wants to make the message better, because simply I think just banning gambling is not possible, because I think gambling's been there for thousands of years, whether and we just do it subconsciously sometimes, even if you say like to your friend, oh yeah, I bet you a burger that you won't blah blah blah, or whatever it is, what I mean. So it's it's a form of entertainment, and that has to be the emphasis. What we've seen. Next one, I think collaboration, like you said, Stephen, like also Peter said, like also Jochen said. I think that there's more collaboration needed from all aspects here. It's not just the operators and regulators that need to collaborate. There's also the banks, the payments providers that need to collaborate more. That we get to a point where everything's a little bit easier. Where everything's just a little bit more certain and safer, because of today the end goal is to protect consumers, to protect players, and for them to have fun, rather than doing it as a job or having an addiction. I mean, I'm not going to get into loot boxes at this time, because we would probably be another half an hour, but we'll save it for next time, because there's some stuff happening. But hey, also to you guys, thanks so much for for being here, for participating, for making it an absolute blast. I absolutely enjoyed it, and thanks so much to both of you, and putting the effort in.
No worries, it's a pleasure.
Thank you very much.
So and also a quick thank you to our brain behind behind this podcast. It's been a lot of work for him, so thanks, James. Thanks for being so patient, and thanks for supporting us.
Yeah, thank you very much. Merry Christmas, everybody. Stay healthy.
Merry Christmas, everyone.
Take a rest, and see you in 2021 on Malta.
Merry Christmas. Have a great new year. Have a great start to the new year. Stay safe, stay healthy, and hopefully, see you in Malta or UK or Isle of Man, wherever you are, for a catch up soon, so we can celebrate all the successes and leave all the negative behind us. So also thank you very much. Thank you so much to being with us here and for participating. It's been an absolute blast. We absolutely loved it, as you can see, and also thank you for donating and helping us to support this great charity. So with that, I'll leave you to it. Thanks so much, and we'll see you in 2021.
Bye-bye.
Bye.